stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Okay, I'd like to call us to order, please, and we already did the approval of minutes. Does anybody have any additions, corrections, or anything to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor? I'd make a motion to
Move it.
move it.
Move it.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Okay, we're going to do a recognition right now for somebody. This is bad news and good news, I guess you could say. And the bad news is that we are losing somebody that is one of the hardest working individuals that I know that's happening for the farmers in our county. She is out there talking to them. She can talk to them no matter what the personality conflicts are, which with farmers, there are many. And she has done a fantastic job. The stuff that she's been able to accomplish with the farming community, as well as educating our youth about agriculture with the environment. And I'm just so proud of her. And I want her to know that we are recognizing you. We've seen what you've done. And we're saying thank you. So at that point, I'd like to read a certificate. And then all of us will be going into the main to get our picture taken, to make sure that we have viable stuff to show everybody that, yes, we do recognize Erica Schreiner as a senior district technician in recognition and appreciation of your 32 years of dedicated service, unwavering commitment, and outstanding contributions. Your hard work, loyalty, and professionalism, yes, have been an integral part of the Office of Soil and Water, but also of EDP, also of the county, and successful delivery of programming for youth, the agricultural community, and other members of the public in Oswego County. We express our deepest gratitude to you, Erica, and you are retiring July 4th, birthday of the United States of America. Okay, so if we could all please go in. Yeah. Yes. Camera is ready. Let's go in and get a picture taken. Okay, let's go right into EP1, resolution approving an amended and restated Title VI plan for the county of Oswego. Motion?
Move it.
Second. Basically, this is, we do this every year. I asked Phil before going through it, there's minimal amendments and changes. It's just updating. Is there anything that we should know, Phil, other than nothing that's really changed? So discrimination against anybody and everyone, basically.
Updating the language.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
I would note there's a bunch of typos and things in it that I'm assuming this is still a rough draft, maybe?
If there are typos, please let us know so that before it goes to the legislature, we'll have it corrected.
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch.
Okay.
Good. I'm glad that you're catching that. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll let you know.
Yep. Look it up, correct it, and give it to Jess. She'll make sure it's changed. Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. AB2, resolution adopting the Oswego County Office of Mobility Management Cost Allowability and Advanced Payment Policy for the Federal Transit Administration funded programs. Motion?
Move it.
Second. Heather, why don't you explain this?
So we had our federal audit, and this is a requirement of us for our federal money to basically have some guidelines and structure on how we are allowed to spend our federal funding.
And you checked all the boxes and you've been doing it correctly? And
Yes, and we'll talk about the result of the audit.
oh, okay, then you're a little, don't want to steal your thunder. Any questions for Heather? Hearing none, all those in, whoops.
One comment, sorry. Yes. On the policy on cost availability or charges against federal warrants. So what would the bullet points? The 1, 2, 3, 4th bullet point down. Be consistent treatment, it just doesn't make sense. I'm not sure what that's supposed to say, but it seems.
This is a template that the auditor gave us this template. We just filled it in, so we can take a look at that line, and if it doesn't make sense, we can take it out.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. EP3, resolution supporting the Redfield Snowmobile Club's new trail application. Motion?
Move it.
Second, there we are. Basically what this is, it's a new trail for snowmobiles. This is not for ATVs, this is snowmobiles, and I believe the town is all for it. It will be maintained along with the same snowmobile clubs that they do now, that they maintain it and they get it from the registrations of people using it. Any questions?
Give just a quick update.
Yeah.
One last, a little bit on that. So this would be a new trail that is not currently in the program the state reimburses us for. They're requesting that it would be included. And so the first step is for us to pass this resolution, and then the state will review and determine whether or not it is a reimbursable trail. So this is the first step for it. We hope to find out if the state will. Historically, the state has only allowed new trails if you give away old ones. They kind of keep a strict amount of how many miles you get reimbursed for. Last year, we were able to get another, I think it's 8-mile trail added without losing any. So we're kind of each year asking for a little bit more. I believe, I can double check numbers if anyone wants me to verify this, but my understanding is that we are about the second largest recipient of the state's money towards trail systems. We have that many miles of reimbursable trails. So again, we talk a lot about the tourism draw of this, but that money completely is offset by the registrations that come in statewide, and then they kind of parse it out based on your total mileage of your trails. It's not specific to how much you've sold from your clerk's office. We have been told, and actually pulled the data to prove it, we actually get more money from the state, from this program, than we actually collect in our county.
So they give us a little extra for that. Yeah, I think the state would look at us and realize that tourism is one of our biggest businesses. So to enhance it, it's a no-brainer.
And to give Angel in my office credit, who's kind of overseeing this program for a couple of years, it's also well managed. They have very few trouble with us. We have 10 snowmobile clubs. Each one of them is required to handle their own reimbursements, falling through us to go to the state. In my office, I think has done a really excellent job of kind of picking up the pieces, putting it all together, and working with our club to get that done.
Yeah, we've helped them, right? Because they were kind of very convoluted and this one didn't know this and that, and now that it's flowing and
The
you're.
state has a very specific reimbursement process with a spreadsheet that many of our snowmobile club members are not necessarily spreadsheet champions. And so we definitely have worked with them to get that. But credit to our office and honestly credit to the 10 snowmobile clubs. They really do. I will tell you, if you are not familiar with your clubs, get to know them. They spend a lot of time and they're very passionate about this, and they're unpaid. They don't get paid for these things.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Passed. EP4, resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Workforce Development to correct previous resolution. Motion?
Move it.
Okay, okay, why don't we go right into workforce? I know you can explain the change. It's a minor change and why we had to do it.
I'm gonna refer it over to Brett. So basically, we just passed something and the budget modification numbers were incorrect. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so Robin cannot technically make that change unless it's correct. So
Okay.
we're doing this so that Robin can make the correction.
Okay, so just a
Little numerical error.
little numerical error. Does anybody have any issues with that or questions? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
But I would thank Veronica for catching it.
Yes. Yes. Well, she is a numbers girl. Okay. All those in favor? I don't think I remember. I did it fast. Good. Okay. 6.5, EP5, resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Workforce Development for continued operations. Motion?
Move it. Second.
Rachel?
So this is to move, additional funding, that was sitting in our line for supportive services into the on-the-job training line based on, different employer needs. We've had a lot more on-the-job training requests from businesses, for training new employees than we thought we were gonna get. So, again, just a movement of funding.
Yeah, I think you kind of explained to me that until you are into the year, you really don't know what's going to be the hot spot. So it's kind of like you have this money, but you don't know where do we do it? Because I know we've had a couple of these.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like as they need it. you
And
move
it's
it.
how the individual, because it's the business coming to us and wants to do it, but then it depends on the individual. And if they qualify under WIOA, if we're serving them with the county funding, it's it's having to move it, and there have been a couple of these, but they haven't all been in the same account, some have been in the WIO account too, so it's a
So do you see this on the job training paying off? I mean, are these
Oh, yeah.
employers hiring?
So they have to hire them. They are brought on as a full-time permanent employee. We're reimbursing 50% of their wages for their training period up to 13 weeks, and people are completing. We do have, and I'm really waiting for my end of quarter numbers to bring them here. But actually, our end of our program year for WIO ends today. So next month I will have a bunch of reports for you. But what we're seeing is if there's an incomplete, it's because there's something else in the person's life that just, something out of our control, something we can't really help with. Or the business is saying sometimes that, you know what, this person really is not the right thing for it. But it's overall, people are staying.
Great, thank you.
Excellent. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yes. EP6, resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Workforce Development to accept additional revenue for summer youth employment program.
Move it.
Second, there we are. And now I understand this is from the state.
Yes.
So this is only for 200%
Yep.
of poverty level.
Yeah, we've been getting each year just because what I put in for our budget when we need to, I put in the current allocation. So this year for 2027, I'll put in this full amount here that we're getting. But what the state's been doing is the last couple of years, we get anywhere from about this 8 to 12,000 additional to basically cover the increase in minimum wage. It's not helping us serve any additional kids. It's just to cover the minimum wage that's been going up every year.
What is the minimum wage right now?
$16.
$15? Any question?
I'm just wondering, how is the allotment, the allocation determined? Population?
It's mostly population for
Okay.
this one, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. EP7, resolution approving the inclusion of viable agricultural land within certified agricultural district pursuant to section 303-B of the New York Agricultural and Markets Law.
Move it.
Second. Okay, what this basically is farmland, agricultural farmland protection board. We met, and I believe in your packet you have every farmer that had applied, why they applied. We discussed it at the board, and everybody does fall under they've checked all the boxes. And we approved these to go into our ag district. Mind you, this is an agricultural district, not an agricultural waiver. So it's not, doesn't cost, they're not getting a break in taxes. They're simply getting the right to farm as long as they farm within qualified practices. Can't be all of a sudden they decide they're going to spread manure along the roadside and all that. No, that's not what we do. But as long as they stay within the parameters, somebody can't complain because the milk pump goes on at 5 o'clock in the morning, type of a thing. And so all of these farmers have, they've checked the boxes and so it's right to farm. We are doing a public hearing at the legislative meeting. I don't suspect or expect anybody to complain about anybody. You never know, but if all goes well, this will be our new one.
So does that make the land agricultural forever?
No, this is not a forever.
Doesn't change the,
Doesn't,
use.
no, what all it does is it doesn't give them, but once again, the tax break, so it isn't into that. All this is the right for the farmer to farm. It's strictly a ag and markets thing that came down because so many people would complain about the smell of manure or and that's all this is. And we check it every 8 years. People can delete it or whatever, get out of it. I don't want it anymore, and it's not any money or anything.
Oh, okay.
But let's say the farmer after 3 years decides, I want to sell the land. It's okay. We're not stopping them from selling or whatever, but then they're no longer in the ag district.
So that doesn't carry over with a sale?
It can, if the person continues agriculture, yes, they're in their district.
And they would have to reapply again?
The new farmer would, what they do is they would bring it up to us and we'd say, yes, just an extension of anyone. So yes, it can be farming forever if it always is a farmer that buys the land.
What's the benefit of of it being declared agricultural, just
Just,
neighbors can't complain? Is that-
Bingo.
That's the only benefit?
that's the only benefit, that they have the right to farm. And, if they're in that district, once again, if they're spreading something that somebody doesn't like, but that's what they have to, that's just part. As long as it's Cornell approved farming practices, anybody gets crazy, we're not gonna say, no, you're out. You can't do that.
Also, just to add to that, being the next code enforcement officer, nobody hit me. I said that. It also allows them some protection from local zoning. So you can't nitpick every little thing a farmer does based on zoning. So there, some of the stuff they do is pre-zoning and they have the right.
Yeah. Paul?
Makes sense.
Tap onto that, several years ago, we had a neighbor move into the neighborhood. And she went before the town, was complaining of between houses, cows, and us, Nikki's Landscaping running skid steers on Sunday morning. You know, and basically we both were in ag districts.
Yeah.
And, you know.
I mean, you gotta,
when
you gotta,
calf watered away from mother cow and she can't, what do? They bell her.
yeah.
And it's always in the morning.
And I do know that once they're, like, if you have a farm and you're outside of, let's say, a village, and you have it, and then all of a sudden the village passes something and said, well, we don't want any cows, well, sorry, they're an agricultural district. So it basically protects. Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay. 6.8, resolution fixing time and place for a public hearing relative to the proposed County of Oswego local law number 6 of 2026, entitled "A Local Law Establishing a Capital Project in the Amount of $6 million to be used for the expansion of the Oswego County Industrial Park in the town of Screwville, and authorizing a general municipal law agreement with the County of Oswego Industrial Development Agency in connection therewith." Motion?
Don't move it.
Second, okay, so, Austin, do you want to speak on that?
Sure. So, what, I was gonna say it in my stuff anyway, but I'll say it now. So all funding for the permanent sort of financing and granting for the project has been secured. However, $8.1 million of that funding is reimbursement in arrears, and some of that can be, significant, take some significant time. So this is related to providing some interim bridge financing from the county to the IDA to make sure that we don't have any, where we have to actually stop work to be able to get reimbursements back from the state or federal government to be able to continue the project. So it's really just providing some bridge financing. All of it will be returned to the county when we are reimbursed on our grants. And so that's pretty much what it is, but it's, we're actually opening bids later today for the actual project. And construction is going to start in August, so it's we're going to need some. The IDA also has $2.5 million in the project of actual cash equity, and so between that's why the request was at 6. So between the 2.5 of the IDA and with the county, it'll allow us to bridge that funding and not have an issue where we actually have to stop work to be able to. Related to any delays on reimbursements.
I see two different things. In any delay, as we all know, everything is going up. The more we delay, the more expensive this is going to be. Second, we are getting interest. County is getting interest for this fund.
Yeah, no, there's significant interest in the park right now. And I think that, so our timeline is to complete construction by September of 2027. So there'll be a substantial amount of work that'll take place in this summer and this fall, and then the project will be sort of wrapped up in spring and summer of 2027. And so, like I said, it's just to make sure everything stays on track, moves on time. And we may even have a situation where, based on interest from entities who may be able to complete sooner, some portions of it to get somebody in. But yeah, it's becoming very real very quickly in terms of moving from into the implementation phase of the project.
Questions? Right.
So you've already been awarded the grant money, you're just waiting on that actual check now, so there's no.
It's all reimbursement. You have to do the work to get the money back. Yeah, none of them provided upfront,
Okay.
unfortunately.
So the money's guaranteed, it's gonna come back to the county.
The money is guaranteed to come back to the county. I will say one thing, as long as we do everything right, and we will do everything right.
Right.
So there's no question about that. Fair enough, so, yeah.
There's some tar and feather
And
here.
this is a very important project in the state as well. This is one of the state's key sites that they're pushing and promoting as well related to the semiconductor supply chain related to Micron. The site's about 7 miles from the site, and they're the ones actually, the state put $8.1 million up. The EDA, Economic Development Administration, put $2.5 million up. National Grid has $625,000 into it. So we have all the dollars there. It's just, they come back in arrears.
Right.
Nope.
Just along that same line of thought, it's important for the legislature to know that this money isn't leaving the county and going to the IDA. It's staying in the county coffers and all being drawn down on as they approve the bill. So we are still earning interest on it in our bank.
Yeah, they're not just sending it over to us where we sit on it. It's staying with you guys until it's absolutely needed and we can show that there's a need for it.
And if the reimbursements are able to come in quicker, may not even need the full sense.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll turn around our dollars 30 days, within 30 days of when we get it back to the county.
No, I touched on mine.
Any other questions? Okay, well, this is, once again, this is setting a time and place for the public hearing, so that will be, next month. Okay. Any other questions? No, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, yes. And 6-9, it was a placeholder, but it's not ready yet. Rich is figuring out this Silk Creek bond right now. Hopefully, we'll be able to have it, for the legislative meeting. It's important to get this bond authorization going, obviously. Okay, we have a bid, 26 CDTP-003, County 89, the slope stabilization. Phil, can you explain anything about that bid?
No, I was not.
I could probably do
Yeah,
that.
go ahead.
Okay. Yep, so this is for the READY project. That's the resiliency money that came from the high waters in 2017 and 2019. We have completed 4 other projects. There was a project that was unable to go forward, and the state allowed us to repurpose that money. We applied to them, and they awarded us or allowed us to do the County Road 89 stabilization project. That is between Rudy's and Burt's Point. If you've been down that way recently at all, you will see that more than 25 feet of shoreline has eroded away, and that our county road, County Road 89, is in jeopardy. It's probably 6 inches from the cliff. So thankfully, the state allowed us to use the $2.5 million that was left over to restore that. If not, we would have had to do that ourselves at some point. So the good news is that in front of that is a bunch of homeowners' properties that have completely eroded away, high tax space, as you can imagine, on County Road 89 right across from the lake. And the state allowed us, typically grants do not allow you to restore individuals' properties because of the protecting our road, they allowed it. So we got the project that will restore the entire shoreline, rebuild their front yards essentially, and then protect the rest of the seawall there as well. We got about $2.5 million, and we put it out. Interestingly, the bids came in below that. I was a little bit shocked. Our consultants typically give them a lot of credit, but typically they don't undershoot or overshoot. So the lowest bidder was WD Malone. We worked with them quite a bit. They were very confident in what they can do. And again, they were about $600,000 under budget or under our amount of money we had. We are going to work with them directly to make sure that we get everything we can out of the money we have from the state, because ultimately anything that we do not spend will go back to the state at the end of the year. We can't repurpose it again. So make sure we do as much as we can down there.
Any other questions?
So is the scope comprehensive about right down to the guardrail, everything?
Yes.
One vendor for everything?
Everything. You got it. We've talked to both the local town and the county. It's a county road, but in the town that maintains it to make sure that any disruptions with flow of traffic and things like that are all taken care of, really well communicated. Thankfully, it's also on a turnaround there, if you think. So the local residents who we've had to work with, we need to get right of way and various things like that, easements with all of them for maintenance. And those are out right now. Hopefully those will be done. So should we get to go?
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor of accepting the bid?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And the next is simply a request to set salary for the deputy director, director of community development and planning. And I believe came from Jim.
Yes, so many of you probably do not know that Caroline, my deputy director, did find a new opportunity. I know she did amazing work, but this just aligned better with her family situation, and overall her situation is better because of this program. So I hate to lose her, but we do have another opportunity, and we are bringing in Alex Fitzpatrick. And Austin is probably steering daggers to the back of my head right now.
Correct.
Because, we did get her from Operation Oswego County, but we're very excited to bring her on. She has a ton of experience. Austin could also speak to, but she'll be starting after 4th of July. And the pay is the same as Caroline was, but because it is not the base, I have to come back and get permission from all of you folks to do it. So that is the request.
What is the base salary?
I don't know what we're looking to pay her or the
No,
base of the
that-
position.
How much base are we paying?
I don't have that right in front of me. I'm sorry. I have the amount we're paying. I can get it for you.
I can get it done.
Yeah.
We're meeting it to this, right?
Yeah.
I've got it in my office.
Sorry about that. I should have been in front of me, but. Wow.
See, Caroline leaves and everything goes down to two.
We are very excited to have Alex.
Yeah, and I'll just say from my perspective, you know, she was great for our office, but if she was gonna leave, at least it's somewhere where we know we're gonna continue to work together on a monthly basis and on a lot of the same initiatives, so it's a good situation.
Any other questions? Now, we don't need to vote on this. It was more of an information. So, all right, let's go right into reporting. Operation Oswego County.
Thank you. You know, I do have to go back to, we have a 10 o'clock in my office, I have to be back, of course, thank you for letting me go. So I wanted to report on, so Operation Oswego County held their annual meeting, 74th annual meeting on June 18th. It was attended by over 150 representatives of business, community, and elected officials. At that meeting, 5 awards were given out and celebrated for best of the best in our community in terms of doing things. Related to economic development, the Jobs Award was presented to Daldrop SBB for their expansion, their attraction and expansion of the industrial park down in Schuylkill. The Business Excellence Award was provided to NET and Dye for 60 years of manufacturing business in the city of Fulton and their recent expansion to the former Kmart Plaza, which is a pretty creative reuse of a commercial space for manufacturing use. The Ally Award was provided to Train, Develop, and Optimize, known as TDO. It's a manufacturing workforce partner in the Central New York region. Worked with them on a lot of initiatives, including the manufacturing summit the last several years. They were also very important in helping scale up Daldrop's operation, helping them get over 20 new employees to date and continue to work with them on that. The Entrepreneur Award was given to Mike Tormey and his family. They are the family redeveloping the former Miller Brewery. They've been able to purchase all of the assets that had been broken up after Miller left and put it back together into a large piece. So we're working with them right now on actually a couple grant opportunities to make, they spent over $30 million to date in terms of acquiring and renovating that facility. And it's going to be a 1 of 1 in Central New York, probably 1 of 3 across the state in terms of how important that site is. Over 1.1 million square feet under roof, 300 acres and heavy infrastructure at the site. And then the last award was our Economic Developer Merit Award was provided to former Village of Pulaski Mayor Jan Tighe in terms of her efforts to redevelop the village, get the $10 million DRI award there in 2025 and multiple other things that she's done at the village. A keynote speaker at the event was Rich Barletti of Constellation, and I tried multiple ways to get him to confirm and commit to new nuclear, but it was very good discussion related to the importance of existing nuclear in Oswego County, as well as the opportunity and how well we are positioned for new nuclear. So it's good. We also celebrated, the assistance of 43 projects in 2025 that, when completed, will have created or retained 1,422 jobs and invested over $198 million in Oswego County. So it's a good year for economic development, and will continue to be in the future. One of the things that was talked about there, but I'm really happy to see now, is the Novelis Oswego Hot Mill has officially reopened. One of the important things to understand through that was there were no layoffs for production throughout that process. They did relocate a few people temporarily to other plants across the country, as well as having people working on some other things, but no layoffs throughout that. They also brought in over 700 contractors for several months to rebuild, including millwrights and other workers on the site. who stayed in local hotels, ate at local restaurants, and bought other local goods. So, significant sort of economic impact from that rebuild process. Over 120 or over $250 million was actually invested into rebuilding the plant throughout that process. So it's substantial reinvestment and commitment by Novelis to this Oswego plant. So back open, back up to full scale. I think they had their first coil come off on June 8th, and now they're back up to full production. So it's exciting and good to see. Mentioned this a little bit earlier when we were talking about stuff, but today we are opening bids for the Oswego County Industrial Park expansion. We are planning our staff is planning a groundbreaking event for August 6th. So save the dates will be going out to the legislature and other key stakeholders very soon related to that. Construction will be starting around that same time in early August. And as I said before, the project is anticipated to be completed by September 2027, which is important because we will be up and online in a same, while the bulk of the Micron construction is happening on that site. We will be one of the first locations in Central New York prepared to support semiconductor supply chain companies. Last week, we co-hosted a consolidated funding application workshop with Empire State Development down at Community College Bolton campus. We had over a dozen prospective companies and entities that were there learning about the resources available. So I think it'll be a good year in terms of projects going forward from Oswego County for that. Just as a reminder, that is the funding that the state puts together on a yearly basis. It has money from Empire State Development, Department of State, Canal Corps, NYSERDA, all these different entities that would, so instead of having to apply for multiple grant applications throughout the year, they have this one application you can kind of put your information in once, apply for multiple programs, for the same project, sort of layer programs in. So excited to see that. If you missed it or you know somebody who missed it, please put them in touch with us. We can help them to learn more about it and help them get an application in by the deadline for that is July 31st. The operation of Oswego County is actually tomorrow. We are putting out a RFP, request for proposals, related to a new economic development website and branding assistance for, and I know I've reported on this before, but Operation Oswego County by the end of this year will be rebranded as the Oswego County Economic Development Corporation. So as part of that process, there's a rebranding effort as well as a new website for that. I also want to state that a new website, an IDA website, went live in early June. So the IDA and Operation Oswego County are separate entities. I know we work hand in hand together. Operation Oswego County utilizes many of the programs that are available through the IDA to do economic development, but they are separate entities. And a new IDA website did go live early June. We're still working on some site optimization, but it is a huge improvement over the previous website for anybody who saw the previous IDA website. So it's a great thing we're doing there, working on branding, working on some of these user interfaces for those from the general public, both locally as well as globally. We are working with Constellation, who just recently submitted their relicense application to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission for 9 Mile Point Unit 1 for an additional 20 years. I can't say enough how important the long-term sustainability of these nuclear plants is for our economy. These are plants that provide, thousands of direct jobs. They provide thousands of indirect jobs when they go through refueling and maintenance. Tax revenue generated by the nuclear plants is substantial to the county. I'm sure Phil could say how substantial it is. But the long-term viability of our existing nuclear is critical, and not just for that, but because the new nuclear makes sense where you have existing nuclear. So keeping our existing plants running optimally and relicensed is probably one of our best assets for trying to attract new nuclear. And then just changing gears a little bit, I wanted to also state that as Tim is talking about with his deputy director position, Operation Oswego County recently hired Natalie Glosick as our communications coordinator. It's a little bit different position than what we had before. But she's somebody that we actually had in our office for 2 semesters as a intern and has worked remarkably. Somebody, you know, that came through SUNY Oswego, through their hometown university program. We are looking at we're evaluating the opportunity right now to bring in an additional staff person in an economic development specialist role later this fall to assist us with major initiatives, like the micro enterprise grant program that will be coming online, for grant administration for multiple grants that we currently have and ones that we are seeking for some of our major initiatives, and for other business attraction and retention efforts. But we're growing as an office, both from our capacity and things that we're doing. And so we did just hire that position, and we're potentially looking at another one later this fall. So lots of things going on.
Okay, anyone have any questions?
Yeah, Austin, is your office preparing for any information to be able to share or train or educate on the data center questions?
You know, we're doing our own internal evaluations right now related to data centers. So one thing people don't understand, data centers have been around for 30 plus years. I mean, you know, anything related to information technology, you know, related to the beginning of the internet, it's all been through data centers. You know, cloud-based computing, cloud-based storage, all of that's data center driven. You know, so I think that they've been around, and you know, but I would say in the last probably 6 to 12 months have gotten, you know, an extremely bad rap. And some of it probably is warranted, and I think some of it is sort of being scapegoated as a boogeyman for every issue that's ever happened. So some of it is us trying to determine what is actually real, what is not, and understanding that a lot of communities are concerned because of some projects that have happened around the country that were probably, you know, they didn't do their best job in terms of making sure they were done well. And I think there's a lot of things that are sort of changing related to data centers in terms of federal level requirements that, you know, projects bring their own power, or projects, you know, develop community host agreements. So there's a lot of things that are sort of just evolving by the day right now. And so we're trying to get a handle on that. I know in Onondaga County, they are taking on a very expensive study. I'm not saying I don't think we need to do that, but they're taking out a very expensive study to look at the impacts and effects of data centers. So we may be able to actually learn a little bit from what they're doing related to that, since it is so close. But yeah, I think it's something we're looking at. And my position has sort of been, you know, anytime entities come is, you know, New York State is a home rule state. Local communities should have control over what they're doing. So I'm not necessarily a fan of when states or entities like that try to make a blanket ban across the state or a moratorium, because every community is different. Every community's capacity to host projects is different. And that really should be looked at a little more. So
Just so you know, we have had 3 of our towns put forward moratoriums, 6-month moratoriums on data centers in the last month.
yeah, no scruples looking at that in July is one of the communities. So I will also say we don't have any current data center projects in our pipeline. We have dozens of projects in our pipeline, but those are not in there. So it's not something that, you know, if anything, if communities should be looking at it proactively, not reactively at this point.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
I read an article I thought was fascinating, is that Japan puts their data centers in the ocean. It's a natural air conditioning unit around it. I thought that was fascinating.
I think there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. I mean, there's people who want to put them in space. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that 5 years from now, we might look back at them and be like, oh, okay, that was, you know, the way we did those 5 years ago was very antiquated. So I think a lot of things are changing right now, and ultimately we'll continue to see the change.
Any other questions for Austin? Okay, let's work right on. Rachel, workforce.
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, today is actually the end of our program year for our WIOA funding. So I will be having more information hopefully soon, in the next couple months. But what we have recently gotten is that as of our 3rd quarter, for the program year, that we were passing all of our performance measures, for employment after exit from our programming, credential attainments, measurable skill gains, things like that. So hopefully, when I get the 4th quarter end of year report, and I will bring it to all of you, that we will have all of those measures passed. And as of the end of May, we were looking at meeting our 80% obligations for our funding for the year, which is what we need to meet each year. We're allowed to carry 20% of our program funding into the next year. What we're looking at, we're right around that on our dislocated worker funding and our youth and our adult funding. We actually do not have any to carry into the next year right now, which is fine. More to come on that as I get end of year reports. I will share them here. For summer youth employment, we actually this week are doing a lot of the HR orientation, so I don't have final numbers of kids starting yet. Most of our kids will be starting on July 13th. We've had our temporary summer staff started yesterday. We do have a few kids that are starting this week and next week, more at Fulton Youth Basketball and some of the day camps because of school being out. So now we need childcare. So there have been some that have come through, but we did receive over 220 applications total. So we'll see how many of the kids follow through with orientation, get all their paperwork in, and actually show up first day. So more to come on that. We have what we learned from Hugo Community College. They are offering a free semiconductor training boot camp throughout the summer. It starts July 7th and is 2 nights a week. Just to get people that are interested in different in manufacturing hands-on training, but they're really doing an introductory at their Advanced Manufacturing Institute. For folks, you have to have graduated from high school and be 18. That's it. But it's free.
So I was gonna ask, is it free?
It is free. Yes. So that's a great opportunity just to get people more introduced to the semiconductor industry and what that would look like.
We advertising that out.
It is all over our social media. Just got the flyer last week.
Perfect.
Yes. Yep. But if anyone's interested, I can get you the flyer too, on that. So, earlier this month, myself and Dan Petty, program manager for Swiggle Build, we went to Albany and attended the Northeast Energy Workforce Consortium launch. So this was primarily sponsored by National Grid, Constellation, and NYPA, with many other energy industry partners to start bringing together workforce partners with industry to help have a trained workforce for not only nuclear, but every other sector within the energy industry. Because, and I think I'm gonna get this wrong. It's 40%, I believe, of the workforce for the energy industry will retire by 2030. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. So that's not good. So we need to, get more people interested in the energy industry. The jobs are there, the training's there. It's just getting people to go in that direction. So that was a kickoff launch meeting, and there are work groups that they had everyone who attended sign up for. And it was not only New York State, but with Connecticut and Massachusetts there as well. So it was a good group, and I'm interested to see where that goes. On that note, a Swiggle Build, we held interviews for our next cohort last week. We have 15 fantastic candidates with a wait list of some more great candidates. But the next cohort will start July 13th. It is a 16-week program this time because we are adding the energy industry fundamentals curriculum. So they'll have 2 weeks of that work to do. They also are going to have a week of job shadowing opportunity at Constellation, I believe at the Fitzpatrick site during the outage in September. So that will be a great opportunity for those within this cohort to be able to actually go into the plant and learn what that job is. We do have all of the union partners set up for that. We have still waiting on paperwork to be able to formally accept the money, but we do have an additional $10,000 from Constellation that was donated for the program, and $35,000 from Trades Futures, who is the organization that does the MC3 curriculum that we use for the program. And working with Center State CEO, who is looking more expanding this program more across the state and the capital region, is looking to put us on another grant for another $100,000 to come in and support build over the next 2 years. And the grant that we were able to secure through the Office of Strategic Workforce Development, had a meeting with them yesterday. We are going to be able to actually push off that grant to be able to do our 3 cohorts, 2 in 2027, 1 in early 2028, because the grant we've been working off of as a subcontractor under Center State CEO has enough money for us to do our next cohort under that grant, and they're getting that extended. So without having to go and find any more money, we're able to add another cohort. So 2 years from today, we are still able to offer now 4 cohorts of Oswego Build, and the unions are all telling us, keep doing it, keep going. They're not bringing them on into their apprenticeship programs yet because the jobs are not here today, but they're saying next year it will happen. They're all planning on doubling or tripling the size of their apprenticeship classes. So having more people go through these pre-apprenticeship programs is only going to help the unions over the next 5 to 10 years.
Step one.
Step one. Yep. And I don't have a lot of information, but the NYPA nuclear training funding, working on a big group actually, and Heather's part of it, and Austin tomorrow for a 2-hour planning meeting. Center State CEO, the chamber, us, mobility management, Operation Oswego County, integrated community planning to help with childcare, SUNY Oswego, Cuba Community College, and City BOCES. We're all coming together to figure out an application and projects to bring together as a regional application, because the award is $10 million over 2 years, and we want to go after it all. So more to come, but that's the group that is going to do it together.
Awesome.
And also the Building Trades Council president.
Teams build strength.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Ed?
Yeah. Rachel, you've done a great job of implementing our initiative to change the optic of workforce development from the old standard of meeting PSS requirements to standalone project that's the results are incredible. But with that being said, have you seen an uptick at all of individuals coming in specifically to meet eligibility requirements, to meet any of the new SNAP requirements? You haven't?
Not really. I mean, we meet with the team at DSS on a monthly basis. We're constantly sharing everything that we're doing, and they're giving it to the folks there. I wouldn't say it's an uptick from what we were already seeing. They've always been referring people to our job fairs, and typically there is a DSS employment specialist that's at those so that they can say that their clients are there. And for the Real Life Rosies program with MACNY and Build, I mean, we do the recruitment presentations there as well to get folks. So we get some, but I wouldn't say it's more than normal.
Good. So, I mean, one of my concerns was duplication of efforts and services, but it sounds like that's under control.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for workforce? Okay, let's move right into promotion and tourism.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Got a couple updates for you today. So our Welcome Center is open. It's down in the city of Oswego on First Street. Had a lot of folks actively going in there. So feel free to stop by if you get a chance. You should have all received your 250th t-shirts. If you have not, let us know. We have additional those. We'll be handing those out as awards and gifts at the state fair this week. So starting July 1st, which is tomorrow, running through Sunday, our county fair is actively going on. I would love to encourage you all to get up there and get a chance. Our tourism staff does an amazing job with one room that is kind of theirs, and I know we will have management tables up there. I think workforce, so I think there's a workforce table up there. A bunch of county offices have tables up there as well. So if you get a chance, get out and check that out. We're pretty excited about it. Our staff tabled at the Maritime Museum Waterfront Festival, partnership with the city of Oswego. It was well attended, but unfortunately, it's on a pier, and if it is windy, stuff starts to fly away. So we're looking at maybe doing things just a little bit differently for next year. But again, a beautiful event, and a lot of people attended that as well. Our tourism staff designed this year's fair trifold brochures, youth vouchers, and rodeo tickets as well. So we're really working to kind of help assist local organizations, departments in the county on some of that design work and things like that. Not taking away from the private sector, but things that we can move pretty quickly, and we have the expertise in the office to do. We have been had our fishing meetings. I think I mentioned to you last month that we were our upcoming quarterly meeting. And we had really good attendance. It was over at Steamers on a Monday night. It's open and anyone's welcome to attend. But it brings together charter captains and bait store owners from across the county, North Shore, up north. So we go, and we even had the city of Fulton was represented as well this quarter. And they just talked about different things that we can do. And out of those meetings, really good stuff has come out of it. We were able to set up the Salmon River cleanup. That was a big win. Historically, other agencies and groups had done those, but we didn't realize that had kind of fallen away. And to be able to kind of get people back together again to do it was again a big win. We had concerns voiced to the mayor of Oswego, who did attend the last meeting, and he was able to take action. They removed a section of fencing that was a concern to fishermen. They're putting up some cameras that will assist. So we appreciate that from the city of Oswego mayor. And then lastly, from that group, it was brought to our attention that there was accessibility issues on the boats at the boat launches for either people in wheelchairs or folks who just have issues getting into a boat. If you've ever gotten into a boat, it's not the easiest thing to do. And so what they're looking at doing, and we've actually worked to potentially work with Sea Grant at the college to put in a grant application to pay for, I forget the word, but it's essentially the same lift that they use to get folks into a pool. Hoyer lift. And so essentially what it is it'll set it up right on the dock. It can be assembled and disassembled as needed, and we'll be able to get folks into the boats for recreational purposes, for fishing events, things like that. So we're, again, thanks to the city of Oswego, they were partnering with us, also Sea Grant at the college. So some really cool things coming out of that. That goes kind of the next step, which is we've been talking about the new bed tax law. If you all remember, you voted to authorize that, I believe, last month. And starting July 1st, the county will be collecting the quarterly bed tax. It comes in quarterly though, so I don't think it comes until November, but July 1st is a date where if folks ask you July 1st, any bookings at that point, they will need to charge the bed tax and then forward it to us. We're working to make that much easier. Typically, currently only folks that are hotels make that payment, and they've got a process for it, right? End of the quarter, get all their bookings, they pull 4%, they send a check to the treasurer's office. Short-term rentals are typically run through Airbnb, VRBO, things like that. So we are still actively working with their leadership to come up with a plan that allows them to collect that on behalf of the homeowner. I make things a lot easier because they already collect the sales tax, they collect the cleaning fees, they collect everything else. So to make the homeowner then collect it themselves, and it'll be a little bit tricky. Not that it's impossible, but it adds some extra step of work, and we want to make it as smooth as possible. So there is a little bit of concern that the Airbnb and VRBO companies have with the state law that mandates this. Airbnb and VRBO are very comfortable sending the money to us. They don't want to do is itemize it. They don't want to say Tim's, short-term rental had 11 stays for $111 this quarter. They want to just send a check for $70,000 for everybody. Well, the law that you folks passed and mirroring the state law requires an itemization. It's an accountability setup. And again, they're pushing back on it. In fact, their lawyers are challenging the state law. So we're still working on how that works internally to us. Again, I want to make it simpler for people. Stay tuned. If you have any other questions or thoughts on that, let me know. I can I'd be happy to go a little more detailed, but just so you know, that is actively going on.
That's a good question. What's the percent?
4%.
4%?
Yep, and it is identical to the hotel. Okay, so one of the things that also is coming out of that, though, is that we do anticipate having additional funds coming in, right? There's an additional 4% coming in off of all short-term rentals. And so we are working on a number of things. We've already started kind of working with our municipalities to make sure they understand that our goal, and by law, we're required to reinvest those funds into the municipalities we serve, to to encourage people to use more short-term rentals, right? We want it to be kind of people coming in, spending money to reinvest in that area. So we've talked about the cities and a couple of the villages on helping us put together a plan on a marketing strategy for next year. And so that way it's not responsive and reactive. Something we are reactive, and if someone comes to us and, for example, the city of Fulton had a boat race program coming up, that they were looking for a couple $1,000 they needed to do it. And it does draw people from outside the county in. We were able to support that. But the hope would be that going forward, we will be able to plan those things in advance, know they're budgeted, and let the municipality say, hey, you got this thing coming up, you can plan on the county supporting it this amount. And I think it helps give them a confidence to get it done as well. We also were able to double the prize pool for the upcoming Oswego County Pro-Am. That's one of our biggest fishing tournaments. Thousands of people come in for that. It's a huge event. And we were able to double the purse, which again draws more people in. We're working with Walleye Fest on the North Shore. And then obviously we are very active up in the Alaska area and those communities. So if you have thoughts or if you want to encourage leadership in your communities to reach out to us, talk about opportunities for next year, we can help partner with Ventex. Be very happy to talk to them. Keep in mind that the law requires that this money can't be, this is not Parks and Recreation. It's not to encourage making things better for our community. It has to be spent to draw people from outside the county in. So that's the one requirement. And we also have an active partnership with both the Oswego, Fulton, and Brewerton racetracks this year. Okay, that's the Ventex. Any questions on Ventex before I jump? Yes, ma'am.
What is the prize?
$10,000.
So it was 5 now.
It was 5 and now it's 10.
That's coming directly from Ventex?
Yes, directly from Ventex.
Do you have any update on, wasn't there a problem with the Oswego Speedway with Dirt Week of coming back, of getting a contract?
Yeah, I think some of that might be a little bit sensitive, but what I could definitely say is that the state has a contract with Dirt Week to when they moved them from Syracuse, from the fairgrounds, thank you, to Oswego, there's a substantial amount of work needed, right? The fairgrounds, that's a dirt track year round. Here, they have to convert what is not a dirt track into a dirt track every single year. And that is a very expensive process, as you can imagine. And so thankfully, the state came along and helped to cover that cost, that additional cost every year, so that the organization could still run the program and at least break even, if not make some money. That was a contract that is set to expire at the end of this year. And so the Dirt Week is very much looking to get an extension with the state on that. The process is a little tricky. There's not a grant program that awards money for dirt track conversion, right? And so typically the state, this is a one-off. And so we need to get work with the senator, the assembly folks, the governor's office. There may very well be requests from you folks, if you're willing to send letters of support, because it is a huge, and you know, at 70,000 people, it's a huge influx to our community. But as of right now, 2027, I believe, is their last guaranteed race. So they are looking to schedule for future years.
I really believe, I don't have any proof, but I believe the state is one that took away Dirt Week from the fairgrounds. And there was so much animosity about that, that they knew they weren't going to be able to make it here. And I think because that money came from the governor's office, I believe.
Through Empire State Development, but it directly.
Yeah, because they knew that they're the ones that caused this whole thing. So I think that was kind of like a, sorry guys, we'll try to help you, but how long they'll do it, I don't know. I hope they do.
That's a great point, something to keep an eye on. It is something I think we should.
It's a biggie for us.
I do know they've met with Senator Ryan as well as Assemblyman Barkley's office, and I think they've met with the governor's office, so I believe they are doing what they need to, hopefully. But it's about $500,000 a year that it costs to do all that conversion.
Yeah, it's a biggie.
Well, it is an election year.
Yeah, that's right, so.
What big contract?
Okay, so a couple other things. The comp plan update. So we did have all our meetings in the last month with all the southern towns of the county, just to make sure they're, again, prepared, willing, interested in what Soquist brings and the development that comes along with it. Talk to them about their zoning rules and land use rules. And I think there's overall a very positive response from our towns, villages about that. But I know I think Mark might chat a little more about that in his piece. CFA. So Austin, who's gone, mentioned the CFA. That's the Consolidated Funding Application. It's how we as municipalities and some developers get our grant from the state. Opens June 1st, closes July 31st. Awards don't usually come in until November-ish. The county does put in CFAs at times, sometimes in partnership with our towns or villages. This year, we're looking at potentially doing a grant opportunity with the town of Minetto for a brownfield opportunity area. It's called a BOA. It's a program the Department of State offers that can allow for the redevelopment of dirty spaces, dirty places. City of Oswego, City of Fulton both already have one. Town of Schuylkill is in the process of creating one. They're a very specific boundary. It can only be here to here, and anything inside of there can potentially be assisted through state means. I know that the Fulton was able to utilize that. Oswego used it very strongly with their DRI program. Well, Minetto, if you've been in Minetto at all recently, there is definitely some concerns, cleanliness concerns in that stretch kind of to the north of Stewart's, kind of across the street next to Dollar General there. So the hope would be that this could be a program for demolition potentially of unsightly buildings. There's if you remember there, just to the north of Stewart's, there's a large old factory that has come down. It's unfortunately a blight, and the IPA owns the old mill factory lot across the street from them, about 80 acres, I think. Well, there's been discussion of developing that for nice housing, but no one wants to spend 20, 30, 40 million dollars to develop 100 acres when across the street between you and this beautiful river is is what's there now. So we are hoping that something like this could really assist long-term development. I'll keep you in the loop on that, but I'm hoping to be able to assist Minetto in that application. So
That is riverfront property.
it's beautiful. Again, privately owned. Yes, sir.
Could that factory be remodeled into condominiums, or is it too far gone?
It's too far gone for sure. There was a proposal, and the county assisted Minetto in the application for a Restore New York application with a developer who was interested in buying that, the guy who currently owns it. The town supported it completely, put a letter of support in. We put the application in. Unfortunately, we're not awarded. We did that 2 years in a row. But that would have been a 90-unit market rate, 2-building, 5-story tall, beautiful riverfront condominiums or apartments. Again, something we definitely need in the community. So stay tuned on that. I'll keep you in the loop. If you have more questions, just let me know. And then the last thing I want to talk about is broadband. There's a ton to this. I gave an update yesterday at Government Reports. I'll just kind of briefly go over, but if you have more questions, just let me know. I'd be happy to go a little deeper. But the broadband project, as you all know, I've been saying for months, has to be completed by December 31st of this year. So we're rushing, we're cramming. We just found out last month that they may very well be giving us an extension, which is amazing news to us. But we won't know till later this month, July. So we're
Not the only one that's kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I told you there's 17 projects statewide. There isn't a single home that has been lit in the entire state on this program yet. Not a single home.
They've got extended.
So they're working to extend it, but again, it's federal funds, and as you all know, our state and federal government don't necessarily always get along, and so they are hoping to get that extension through the federal government. Now, what that would be is only a 6-month extension, but that would get us through the scariest build season in some of the areas where we need to put towers up, things like that, in November, December of this year. We get everything ready to go, and we won't be able to get it done because you can't get a team out there to dig through 4 feet of snow. So we're hoping to get that extension. I'll keep you in the loop. I'll know next month for sure. One of the things, the other pieces we put in our first reimbursement, $5.1 million request. They're telling us the next 2 weeks we should have that money, which is really exciting for us. I think I mentioned to you before, I was a little concerned I might be coming to you asking for a little more money. We also found out, because we were kind of running in parallel lines here, we didn't want to run out, that you folks had already approved a larger band anticipation note. We just didn't draw it all down. So we do have access to some additional funds, which we are going to tap into. We're going to spend probably $8 million for the next 2 months. But we are at the thick of it right now. So that we don't have to get permission to do it. You guys have already authorized it. Just letting you know we are going to pull that. We'll use it if we need it. We obviously won't if we don't. And then we will be putting in another reimbursement request pretty close after we get our first one. Because again, we'll have to spend another almost $8 million.
This is all grant.
In the end, it'll all be grant reimbursed, 100% grant reimbursed. But it's just that floating piece, kind of like Austin was talking about before, it's all reimbursed. Now, the state has impressed me. I don't say that all the time, but they have in this one. They really have been very good communicators, and we'll see in 2 weeks if that 5.1 is here. I'm going to take this back next month. So anyway, moving forward, pretty
The
good.
interest on that loan is paid by the project itself to the grant. So that's not even coming out of the county's coffers.
So encouraging there. One interesting update on that. I think I mentioned to you all last month that our partner, our internet service provider, the ISP partner that we had awarded almost 2 years ago by RFP, decided they didn't want to work on the project anymore. They let us know that about 5 weeks ago now, I think. So I think I don't know if I mentioned the last month, but we've been scrambling a little bit. As you can imagine, we're at the end of the project. Those are the folks who actually light up the homes. They put the boxes in the houses. They run the cable from the pole in their front yard to the home. They collect the $50 a month. That's who does that. And as part of our project, we need someone to do that because we're not just creating, darkness, we're creating that. So when we did that RFP almost 2 years ago, we had only 2 respondents essentially that were eligible. It was the company Empire, who we ultimately awarded to, and a second company called New Visions. They were pretty neck and neck, and ultimately we went with the one because they were a little larger, and honestly, we thought they could get the project done. The other company, though, is active in Oswego already. They currently serve Parrish, and we currently, the county, partner with them on a monthly basis. We pay almost $250,000 a year to them for the ISP services for our 911 and for our IT offices. So we went to them so we talked to the state authorized it. Instead of putting this out to bid again, we would not have enough time to go back out for 4 weeks of a bid, a couple weeks process to determine who we're going to pick. The state said, since you had 2 respondents and one was awarded and one wasn't, they allowed us to go back and award it to the other one. So we're in discussion with the other company, New Visions, on essentially them taking that same contract. And they have indicated, we've been down at their office twice in the last 2 weeks. They have indicated they are very interested in it, and our folks believe they have the capacity to do it. So that's amazing news for the project. The other thing that's really cool is that we already have a relationship with New Visions. Over a decade ago, the county partnered with them to build a 60-mile loop around the county that connected most of our county buildings, which is why we're paying them essentially lease to use the line that connects our buildings. As part of this project, if we can come into an agreement, we are actually going to physically swap some of our new line. If you all remember, there's 120 or 144 cables in a bundle. We're going to give them 1 or 2 of them. In exchange, they're going to give us 1 or 2 on the other 60-mile loop, which means that we will now own the connection between our buildings, which means we won't have to pay them anymore because we own it. And so it's also going to be a substantial savings to our annual budget through our 911 and IT offices. So keep an eye out for that. We're working on that language right now. They also own the connections, though. This is the most important piece. They also own the connections to those 911 towers I told you about last month. So when we were talking about having to wire those 911 towers so we could send that wireless signal all across the county, we were going to have to pay to get to those towers. This agreement with them should allow us access and ownership to those towers all across the county, which means now we can jump into that wireless option that we've been talking about much quicker and much cheaper. So I think overall, a lot of big wins here. But just wanted to get one of you folks in the loop on that. Any questions? There was a lot there. I can give you more explanation if you have more questions down the road.
Any questions for Tim for tourism and planning, all in one?
Is there any reason why they dropped out?
Well, the main reason was they're a big firm. They're across the entire state. They're very active in Rochester. They don't have a footprint in Oswego currently. This project originally.
That's what they wanted.
Well, it was. This original project was 345 miles and almost 14,000 addresses. At the ISP, you're going to make a lot more money off of that than our new project was 104 miles and only 4,000 addresses. That was the big key. But because New Visions is already here, this really works for them. It allows them to expand at a rate that works much better within their budget. And they're a little bit smaller because they're just here as opposed to this company that's all across the state. I think they just pulled up stakes thinking it's taking too long. Maybe they hadn't worked with the state before, weren't ready for this. That's the main reason.
Basically the big fish in the little pond here.
But again, that was why we were concerned. We want to make sure our folks inspected. We went down to their head office and I inspected all of their equipment to make sure that they can handle this.
Excellent. Okay, any other questions for Tim?
Just one, I would recommend that we follow up on Tim's requirement or request to send out letters to the appropriate elected officials for supporting Dirt Week. And that did come from the legislature.
Yeah.
I have a letter of support template that I'd be happy to send if you're interested. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, also, the base salary was 69,249, and the salary we are authorized was 75,719. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go right into Heather, mobility management. What you got for us this month? A lot, as always.
I know, but it's all good stuff. So the first thing is Roy and I went up to Madison County a couple weeks ago we were invited by a different side of the New York State DOT. It was their commissioner and then their director of promotion, planning and performance. mouthful.
Yeah.
And we did very well. These communities were invited to have a workshop so that they could become thriving communities. So DOT got them all together to work, to do this workshop and invited us to present on mobility management. And so Roy got to come and speak, and I got to speak. And the most interesting part to me was after we were done presenting, there was a gentleman that came up to us from the Northern Border Regional Commission. And he had said, oh, I remember working with Dave quite a bit on grants. And he invited us to apply to their next grant opportunity. He said, hey, you know, what you guys are talking about, I know you guys had submitted a grant in the past, but we, you know, encourage you guys to reapply now that we understand a little bit more about what you guys are doing. So just great connections there for hopefully possible funding. That's a really difficult grant to get typically. We didn't get it last time we applied for it. So I was happy to hear that. And I don't have numbers of printouts on this today. And if you want to see the full presentation, you have to come to TAC and listen to Brian Heffron. But our office and workforce development and COCs did a miniature pilot cohort to help with unpaid interns with gas cards. I know we had talked about that. And so we have some numbers from that. I know you're interested because these were really focusing on kids going into manufacturing industry and a lot of the trades. So 79 students participated in the program. 600 gas cards were distributed. 100% of the participants identified that they would have not participated in the internship if the program did not exist. 100% of the students receiving gas cards completed the internship. 91% of the students identified that the gas cards significantly contributed to their ability to complete the internship. 53 students earned employment through their internship experience, approximately 67% of the participating students. And 100% of participants recommended that the program continue for future interns. So it's just a way to get that youth interested and into the workforce and trained and ready to go where it's not a barrier. There was some stipulations in the cohort where they had to complete at least 2 weeks before they earned their first gas card to show that they were consistently going to their internship and interested in the program. We did get round 2 of the draft back. So it looks a little bit different. We're gonna bring it to TAC. If you guys have feedback, I just want you guys to write your feedback right on the paper. And then you guys can give it back to us whenever you have time. It looks quite different. I still think it needs some work. So I'm really interested in your feedback. It's definitely more than just the buggies this time. But Tim and I were talking, we think it looks a little busy still. And so we're just interested in seeing what you guys have to say. And maybe even Savannah or Tourism can take a look and give some advice too.
Covering all the bases basically that are really on the road that we have to watch for.
I know you guys wanted it to be more encompassing, and so we just, this kind of addresses more than just the buggies. It has the tractors and the bicycles and snow plows. Just let us know your thoughts. Don't all jump at once. Let me know what you have.
Well, it's still snow, yeah, removal, yeah.
It's a little bit, yes.
So the different shapes, is that choice of which ones would be used?
The shapes?
The
Degree outlines.
gray circles.
The windows.
So
Oh.
the windows on the bus?
Yes, so those are windows. So either they can be completely just see-through, like a cutout, or they can be perforated, which you can still see out of them, you just can't see in. So very similar to like we have the fish on the side of the bus, everybody can still see through the fish, but we just can't see in the bus. So, okay. I'm sure all of you know by now that we got some funding, which is very exciting. We applied for a grant almost 2 years ago. It was the first grant that we brought the grant writers in on Help Us With, and boy, did they help. So
Good to hear.
originally, yes.
I'm glad to hear that they are working
Fabulous.
with a lot of different departments.
Yes, the person I work with, her name is Heather Grant. How ironic.
Forget your
She's fab.
I did mine too.
Yeah, she works really well with, just, you know, I got this question, like, how do you think we should put this? Do you like the wording on this? Very interactive to make sure that it has all the pieces in there. And when we originally applied for this grant, it was only a capital opportunity. You know, DOT came to us and said, this is just capital, don't expect any operating, don't even think about operating at all. And we said, you know what, recently invested in technology and are just starting accessing the Ryder Studio County app. Because you have to remember, this was 2 years ago. We didn't have the app up and running. We had this on pen and paper and it was an idea. Grant writer said, hey, there's this section where we can attach your ridership and let's just attach our payment structure and show them how you guys are paying the vendor and show them all the ridership and, you know, what you guys are working towards. And they came back and when they made the announcement, we were one of 5 counties to get the funding in the whole state. And we were 1 out of 2 counties to get operating on top of capital. So only us in St. Lawrence County got operating, and we were the only county that had a pre-existing system we received the funding. The other system received such large operating because it doesn't exist at all. They looked at our system and said, we're going to invest more in this base that you guys have, in the system that you guys have. And so that extra almost 800,000 that they gave us for operating is really going towards them understanding, okay, the STOA flows and this operating is going to help be that CE so you guys can expand service. But the funding can also be used to purchase vehicles and invest more in our technology that we have too. So we're very excited because this is separate from the normal funding streams that we've received, but you're still getting our state operating assistance. We're still getting our federal operating. We're still getting our federal capital, our state capital, all of that. This is just additional money for our access service and for other microtransit solutions, not just access. So we can use this to come up with some other creative ways to do microtransit. So we're pretty happy. We have money. It puts us in a really solid position. You know, access is, we can either go back out to bid for that service this year, or we can extend for 1 additional year. I would like to talk about potentially putting it back out to bid because first of all, we have funding, we have technology, and we're putting ourselves in a really strong position because we have a lot of interested people in this contract. So we can talk more about that, but we're in a strong position with this.
Good. Excellent.
Heather, do you think there's a thank you letter would be appropriate to add to this?
Absolutely, to the governor's office.
Yeah, would
Yes,
you mind preparing that? I think we should prepare it.
Yeah. Be nice.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay. On top of that, we had a fantastic, it was a really difficult week when the auditors were here. They're very thorough, but we are very compliant. This last triennial audit happens every 3 years. It's the first time that mobility management has been involved in the project since the beginning of the audit, fully just our office. So I went back in Black Hat and I said, well, how far back do I have to go to see what we've, you know, every audit I went through, we had some type of finding. But we were able to come back with this audit and have 0 findings and 0 deficiencies. And Bill and Veronica, Tim, and everybody really came together to make sure we had those last minute things that they were requesting. But they were super impressed with Oswego County, with how we monitor the vendor and how we provide oversight and how we flow the funding. There's a lot of other counties out there that just get all of it to the vendor. There's no oversight. They also made comments about our mobility management team. They said, it's nice to see people use the funding for actual mobility management besides just offsetting salaries. So the auditors were super impressed. We came back with a clean audit. So we're getting the funding and we're compliant with the funding.
Has that ever happened?
Not every audit I've seen in the Black Hat system, which goes back to 2017. So it's 2014 to 2017. Every one of them has had at least 3 to 5 findings. So it's the first time in a while since we've had a clean audit across the board.
No, even before that, I know, even back further, there was always problems. And what you've done with the audit to have that clean bill is a huge thing, huge accomplishment. Thank you.
I've also put in here, and I realized I printed this kind of upside down when you pulled it, so that's my fault. But this is Jefferson County's transit brochure. We're going to be going there to Watertown to pick up a whole box of these so we can start distributing them in the Sandy Creek and Pulaski area. We're also going to be putting a bunch of these at the fair so that we can have them on the table for people in Sandy Creek, because this bus connects at Tops, which is right next to the fair.
Perfect.
This isn't launching until summer, but it'll be a good way to get the word out so people know, how often the bus is coming, which is typically around every hour. to go up to Watertown. So a lot of people have medical appointments up there. It's gonna help out tremendously, and it's coming to life, you know? I did have to talk to VTC. VTC wanted to send their mobility managers in our county to distribute, and I said, I'll do that. For you guys. No problem. I got it.
Take care of it, we'll take care of it.
I did also want to put in here, our, technology provider has been giving us a lot of updates. We've been asking them to do things for us. They've been making those changes in our software. And this is one of the changes. So you can see this is a new type of screenshot you guys probably haven't seen before, but this is the writer review page. So these reviews come directly from the writers. It also gives us an AI summary. And if you look on the right side, you'll see that every single one of those kudos mentioned for the drivers is about Brenda. And I'm not kidding. Every one of them, Brenda. And I said, who's this Brenda? Brenda apparently came from the school district and she comes seasonally. And I said, good. School district is she working for because she's doing great. But it goes a long way. You can tell that when people have good drivers and they have good performance, that they leave a good review. So this is 6 months worth of data. So over the 6 months, there's been over 4,000 positive reviews and 37 reviews for improvement, which is good. It's a good ratio to have that the majority of the writers are saying, we like this service is going well. Now, there's room for improvement. There's sometimes technical glitches or things where people don't understand the software. We're working through those. But overall, it's functioning as intended. And it's getting better and better when the system's learning about on-transit needs here. The system does that, it learns our territory.
Yeah, it's excellent to have the improvement because if you don't know about it, you can't fix it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they're happy, but maybe that a little bit, but I'm not gonna say anything. No, the need to know if there's a glitch so that you can fix it.
Yeah. And we've been tracking a lot with the vendor because if we notice that the vendor is not performing on time or there's trips not being entered, whatever it is, we can now see everything. So I've been really able to go back to their leadership and say, this is everything I've had compiled this week, like let's investigate and let's respond. So before, it was us we had no idea. I would go to the vendor and say, hey, I heard this happened. Can you give me can you investigate? Now I know what happened and I'm going to them saying, hey, this is what's going on in the software. Can you explain this to me? Why did the driver make this left turn and go up here? They can't hide anymore. And so it allows us to really give them that corrective action.
Accountability.
Yes, accountability.
Excellent.
The last thing that I have for you guys is our caregiver portal.
So
Trying to kind of get in with them to make sure that it didn't just come, drive up 481, get on your boat, get off the boat, drive down 481, right? How do we keep them here? So we were able to get, all 120 of them we call swag bags, right? There are tourism bags that have everything great to do in Oswego County. We also are working with the leadership there. So hopefully next time, there are 2 more. There's a September and October this year. When they disembark or embark, to give them a day to get across the county. We're going to work with transportation options, other things like that, find a way to keep those folks here, seeing what Oswego is. Maybe they'll take a separate trip out here, or maybe they'll just spend the day spending money. We don't know. But again, those are folks you'd love to have in your community for 24 hours. So we're really working to find a way to capture that.
Well, maybe they'll want to live here. We'll give them enough stuff here. If we build it, they will come.
I love Central has they did a special wrap on one of their buses for America's 250. So they have a fully wrapped large bus that it's designed for America's 250. That would be a great bus to use for it.
Oh, yeah.
Just let me know because it's beautiful. It has a beautiful imagery on the side of it to represent the 250. It would be great.
Sounds good. Well, another great day of information about how great Oswego County is. Anybody have any other information or anything to share? Hearing none?
motion to adjourn?
Second. Okay, thank you, everybody.
7,000.
Isn't that crazy? It's amazing to me. And they completely booked it full.
To go around the Great Lakes.
4 times.
Yeah.
Take the friends.
Wild.
I've got friends in Florida going up.
Instead of 121, I think.
That's it, sir.
It's just crazy. Well, I think it's supposed to how much we take for granted what we have up here though too, because hey,